Several of Attleboro's faith-based organizations are working together to care for the homeless in the community. Several weeks ago, Faith Alliance Church opened its doors for the first time as an emergency overnight shelter. The shelter is able to host up to 10 people on evenings when there is snow forecasted or there is exceptional cold weather. The organization works with many other faith organizations in the area to run the shelter. To learn more, we spoke with coordinator Sue Smith.
My name is Sue Smith, and I'm the shelter coordinator at the new Attleboro Emergency Shelter at Faith Alliance Church on Pleasant Street. The shelter is allowed to serve 10 people on evenings when the temperature reaches 15 degrees or below, or there's 4 to 6 inches of snow expected. We are allowed to be open 52 days in a calendar year and no more than 7 consecutive days. The shelter intake is done from 5:30 to 7 p.m. and folks must leave between 7 and 7:30 in the morning. The first thing we do when a person comes in is do an intake, which involves identifying them because we need that in case of emergency. Then folks are led to where the cots are stored. They put up their own cots, make their beds. We provide snacks. We provide a hot breakfast in the morning. We're limited as to what we can serve for food, but we manage. There are some activities available for folks to do. A lot of people that have come in have brought their own books, and that's fine. And lights out is at 10 p.m. This is the first year, the first time ever. We started, I believe, on January 9th was the first night we were open. There is a small increase in numbers. There are, thankfully, an increase also in programs to serve the homeless, but the need has always been there. It just took a while to get it going. Right now there are 8 people using it, but the word is getting out. So on any given night it might not be the same 8 or 10 people. State regulation for temporary shelters is after 7 consecutive days we'd have to skip a day or try and find another location. Right now we're actually working with another church. There are 2 nights here that we can't use the facilities, so we're working with another church to try and get them up and running to be the alternate site. This is an amazing thing how this has happened. It started off at another meeting, and it was a gathering of faith community, and we decided that enough was not being done for the homeless in Attleboro. Right now there are 4 churches who provide volunteers. We have a volunteer coordinator. I make the call that the shelter is going to be open, and she calls the 9 volunteers needed to run the shelter each night. We've also had an Eagle Scout from Emmanuel Lutheran Church who raised enough money to have 120 blankets made, and most of those blankets are here at the shelter. I've done trainings with volunteers from 4 area churches. I'm going to try and do another training before the end of January. It's not on the schedule yet. This church has been most welcoming. They actually created a storage space for me so I don't have to move everything back and forth each night. The whole idea for this shelter was created at a meeting of the faith communities where we decided we weren't doing quite enough for the homeless in the area. There was great concern about people being out in the terrible cold. Faith Alliance Church stepped up. Little did they know how difficult it might be to get this up and running. And we now currently have volunteers from 4 area churches. I have a system where when I determine that the shelter is going to be open, I call the volunteer coordinator, who in turn calls 9 volunteers, or she makes calls until she gets 9 volunteers for each night that we're opened. I have notified all area police departments that we are here and given them the information to contact me to see if there's a bed available. And the 4th night we were open, Norton Police Department brought me a young man who needed a shelter for the night. Attleboro Police Department as well has contacted me about a homeless person, and he also was sheltered. If there is a bed available, we would include Norton, Mansfield, and Seekonk. The biggest misconception is that all homeless people are either alcoholics or addicts. Not all of them are. A few are, but not all of them. And as I remind people when I'm talking to them in different settings, Each and every one of us is 1 or 2 paychecks away from being where they are. These people are somebody's brothers, fathers, sons, mothers, sisters, daughters, the same as the rest of us. We're all God's children. Because this is a faith-based project, we depend a lot on our faith. Volunteer duty here, especially the 10:30 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. shift, is not easy. These people have big hearts and love for their fellow man. I'd be happy to share information and volunteer opportunities. They can either contact me on my cell phone, which is 508-942-5957, or at the Attleboro Council of Churches office, which is 508-222-2933.